In 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead inside a federal detention center in New York. His death was officially ruled a suicide. But instead of closing the case, it opened a global wave of questions. Who was Jeffrey Epstein? How did he build enormous wealth with no clearly defined business empire? Why was he connected to powerful figures across politics, finance, academia, and royalty? And what exactly are the so-called Epstein files? In this documentary, we separate confirmed facts from speculation. We explore what the court documents reveal, and we examine the questions that remain unanswered. This is not rumor. This is what we know and what we don't. Jeffrey Epstein was born in 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. He came from modest beginnings. His father worked for the New York City Parks Department. Despite lacking a college degree, Epstein began teaching mathematics and physics at the prestigious Dalton School in Manhattan during the 1970s. Soon after, he entered the world of finance. He worked briefly at Bear Stearns, where he developed connections with wealthy clients. By the 1980s, Epstein had established his own financial consulting firm. He claimed to specialize in managing assets for ultra-high net worth individuals. However, the exact source of his wealth has remained unclear. Unlike traditional billionaires, Epstein did not operate a visible corporation, produce a product, or publicly manage a large fund. Yet he owned multiple properties, including a Manhattan mansion, an estate in Palm Beach, a ranch in New Mexico, and a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. More importantly, he cultivated relationships. Epstein moved in elite circles. He attended high-profile gatherings. He donated to universities. He associated with politicians, academics, scientists, business leaders, and members of royalty. Association, however, does not automatically imply criminal involvement. That distinction is critical. The first major criminal investigation began in 2005. Palm Beach police received reports that Epstein had engaged in inappropriate conduct with underage girls. After an investigation, prosecutors initially considered federal charges. However, in 2008, Epstein entered into a controversial plea agreement. He pleaded guilty to state charges related to solicitation of prostitution involving a minor. He served 13 months in county jail. But the agreement included what critics later called a sweetheart deal. He was granted work release privileges. He was allowed to leave jail for extended periods during the day. And the federal non-prosecution agreement shielded potential co-conspirators from charges at that time. Years later, this plea deal became a major point of public outrage. Many believed justice had not been fully served. For nearly a decade after his conviction, Epstein returned to elite social circles. Some institutions distanced themselves. Others maintained limited contact. In 2019, federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York charged Epstein with sex trafficking of minors. He was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. Authorities searched his properties and reportedly seized electronic devices, documents, and photographs. Then, on August 10, 2019, Epstein was found unresponsive in his jail cell. The medical examiner ruled the death a suicide by hanging. However, several unusual circumstances fueled public suspicion. 2 cameras near his cell malfunctioned. The guards assigned to monitor him reportedly fell asleep and failed to perform required checks. Given Epstein's connections to powerful individuals, skepticism grew rapidly. But as of official findings, no evidence has legally overturned the suicide ruling. After Epstein's death, attention shifted toward the documents tied to his cases. The term Epstein files refers broadly to court filings, deposition transcripts, flight logs, search warrants, civil lawsuit records, and documents unsealed in related cases, including the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. These files do not represent a single secret archive. They are collections of legal records released over time. Many names appear in these documents. However, being mentioned in court filings does not equate to criminal wrongdoing. In legal proceedings, names can appear due to testimony, witness accounts, business associations, social interactions, or investigative leads. Conviction requires evidence beyond reasonable doubt. Allegation is not proof. This distinction remains central to understanding the case. In 2021, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime associate, was convicted on federal sex trafficking charges. The trial brought additional details into public view. But even after Maxwell's conviction, many questions persisted. How did Epstein sustain influence after his 2008 conviction? Why did some institutions continue to engage with him? What was the true source of his financial backing? Were warning signs ignored? Or were they underestimated? Some theories suggest intelligence connections. Others speculate about blackmail operations. As of publicly available evidence, these remain unproven claims. Speculation fills the vacuum where transparency feels incomplete. The enduring power of the Epstein story may reflect something larger. It touches on themes of wealth, influence, and accountability. It challenges public trust in institutions. It raises concerns about how power networks operate behind closed doors. And it reveals how quickly misinformation spreads in the digital age. In the absence of full clarity, narratives multiply. Some are grounded in documented evidence. Others extend far beyond what is provable. Distinguishing between the two has become increasingly difficult in the modern media environment. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell has been convicted. Many documents have been unsealed. And yet, the public conversation continues. The truth we know is documented in legal records. The hidden truth may not be a single explosive revelation. It may simply be the uncomfortable reality that power and influence often operate in complex, opaque ways. The Epstein files tell part of the story. The unanswered questions remind us how much remains uncertain. Understanding the difference between fact, allegation, and speculation may be the most important truth of all. And perhaps that is why this story refuses to disappear.